Yeah, yeah, uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Life and laws, choice and cost. Somebody waking up. Same time, somebody somewhere realizing they gave too much. Yeah, that's how it go. And people swear they didn't know. Like the signs ain't been there the whole time. Just moving slow. Yeah. See, I don't watch people talk like they want peace. They manufacture confusion just to feel hard to reach. Seen pride where intelligence like a tailored disguise. Whole personality built around never being surprised. Seen people call it growth when it's really retreat. Call it healing when it's distance with a prettier speech. Call it standards when it's fear with better posture and tone. Whole life curated just to never feel fully known. I seen soft people play hard, hard people collapse. Seen men call it logic while emotion leak through the cracks. Yeah, seen women call it intuition when control's in the room. Everybody want the truth until it start sounding like you. This ain't just talk, this pattern work, this pressure red. This what people do when they starving but don't know what they need. It's for the ones at the crossroads, dressed in self-respect, still using other people's eyes to decide what they reflect and what is life. A bunch of versions fighting for air. A bunch of I'm fines piled up in a body that's barely there. A bunch of names, roles, labels, stories people protect. And most of what they call self is just what they ain't questioned yet. Resla is life. That quiet thought that don't leave when the room get loud. Resla is life. That feeling when the truth lands and your pride sit down. Resla is life. A mirror with pressure, no filter, no soft disguise. Resla is life. What people avoid when they sway, they self-aware inside. I'm like watching somebody laugh through a life they don't respect. Like I'm just figuring it out when really they scared of what's next. I'm like every almost choice that still haunts you at 2 a.m. Like I could have been that version if you moved before it ended. I'm like realizing too late that comfort got a body count. Like staying still so long you forget what the doubt's about. Yeah. I'm like potential with a shelf life. Windows closing in silence. Like indecisions dressed as peace while your future die from compliance. I'm like every friendship's built on access instead of care. Like people saying I got you as long as it's easy there. I'm like clout in a crisis, fake morals with good branding. Like kneeling to whoever's lit and calling it understanding. I'm like a man with a platform, still unsure who he is. Like a woman saying I'm here while choosing what to spite. I'm like the pause after somebody say that's just how I am. Knowing damn well that sentence usually means
Yo, what is going on, y'all? What is going on? Oh man. So this might be one of those weird nights. I'm gonna be diving into a couple of memories that I had going on tonight. I don't even know how long I'm really gonna be on because I'm still trying to decide whether I'm going to go to a funeral the next day. I'm a little over funerals right now, but I'm gonna make the decision of whether I'm gonna really power through it and just do it for the support or see where I am from there. As I dive, I've been diving through a couple of memories that I was having today with a lot of the news that I was having, and then a couple of people that I was even talking to today, right? And one of the first conversations I really started having was with an old friend of mine who was even asking me questions about my personal life because he knows my personal life, and then how I'm going to see myself possibly in the future. That was a little that was a little difficult to really go through that one. I'm not gonna sugarcoat. I won't lie about that one. But then he asked other aspects that made me open up the floodgates to other things that was going on in my memory. And I think I wanna touch at least a little bit on some of those. So one of the first things I'm really thinking about as I'm diving into this whole aspect of, I guess you want to call it a reinvention of myself, the update to Resla in 2026, is I started diving into a lot of the things that I went through in my past. And one of the things that I consider going through and talking about, rather, I'm going to talk about, is the aspect of faith. Now, keep in mind, I said the word faith. I didn't say religion. I didn't say God, but faith. I'm not talking about those other things. I'm talking about faith. And I think people lose it way faster than they actually realize the aspect of faith. And once it's gone, getting it back can be very difficult. And that's different. It is not something that is quickly established or quickly rebuilt. And I remember when I'm harping back to a point in my mind where I was homeless. Around my 20s, I was unemployed, didn't know what I was actually good at. What I was good at, uh, not I can do this all by myself. I mean, like, what what could I do that would actually matter? That was something that was very big in my mind. And I'm sitting there in an intake shelter. So it's first night going into an actual shelter. And the long process, paperwork, you're waiting, there's other people. What's going, Hurricane? Uh, you're just sitting there in this overnight facility before they even get you a bed. And it kind of feels like what some people like say the stories about, like, hey, what you in here for? What you in here for? Like it's jail. It's like that. Maybe it doesn't happen for everybody, but it was definitely like that for my night before you ever get assigned the bed. I even have stories about the stupid the stories that guys were telling us the reason why they were there at an intake shelter for an overnight. And some of them were repeaters, as in this is not even their second, third, or even fourth time rodeo, which is crazy. They were people who were there in an intake shelter overnight and they had apartments. Not like they were living with somebody, they actually paid rent. Crazy stories. So when you're going through those feelings of sorting yourself out, the one constant feeling you also get for yourself is, how did I get here? Like how did this happen? How did everything that you were working towards, and how at a very or whatever point in life that you're asking yourself the simple question, how did I get here? Because regardless of where you are and what you're doing, you don't think that you're gonna wind up in that position. Most people, I would say, don't think they're gonna wind up in that position because they have friends, family, you know. So how do you end up there? And you can feel a lot of doubt when you're going through it. I remember that. I can still remember aspects of me being in that overnight bed and the thoughts that go through your head hit you in waves. Sometimes you can't even really sleep. And doubt is one of the first things that really start hitting at you. You can feel the inner voices start getting louder to the point where you can't really sleep. Let's be honest, it's like some weird cot. It's not like you're even sleeping in a luxury bed or something like that, or just even a regular bed, whatever the case may be. So you're already uncomfortable, probably cold too. And you're just always still asking yourself, how did you get there? End of the day. And when you wake up the next morning, there is that denial stage that actually hits you. That weird, this can't be real feeling. And you wake up and you're like looking around and you're like, shit, it's happening. It really, no pinching you. It really is. It's going on. It's absolutely real. And I realized something in that moment. Thinking harder was not going to get me to fix the situation. Trying to optimize my way out of my head wasn't going to fix it either. I didn't need inspiration. What I needed was a damn plan. And I didn't have one. I really didn't have one. I remember The next day, they eventually sorted me out and they put me in a room with. It was a large room. It was like an old armory. It was like a large room, but like it was like 13 people there. 13 guys. And I remember that little voice, even in my head, like 13. Of course, it was going to be the number 13. Why not? It's freaking bad luck. A little voice that started looking at little things that you don't really believe in, little weird symbols and shit like that. Anything that to justify the bad luck that you're having. And you see people all around this room, different ages, different stories, different energy, different ethnicities. But also, everybody also understanding that this is not something that they wanted to be their normal. And I also knew that if this is where I am currently, I'd be stupid not to learn from what was happening in that moment and learn to move and learn in a way to move away from it. So, where do you start? Where do you start when you don't know what you don't know? For me, it came to me, I was bunked next to the bunkmate that was next to me. He was 50 plus year old, former inmate. And before anyone jumped to conclusions, no, he was calm. He was observant. He had his mind right. And even the time when I sprained my ankles, and there was really like you had to take the stairs, and I was like several floors up. Even when I was like stressed and everything else going on, he was the one that actually coached me, and he was my first teacher into just keeping myself calm because people in the system, workers in the system, will do everything to agitate you to make sure that you lose where you currently are in your spot in life, even if it's the little bit of comfort that you think you might have. They will help you lose it. And he talked to me in a way that let me know that the world wasn't over, that things were not ending, that this was actually just going to make me tougher in the long run. And he absolutely was not wrong. When situations came up with judgment from other people, other residents, we'll put him that way, other residents, I could hear his voice even well after he left saying, yo, stay calm. When people got disrespectful, I figured out, not only from my own experience, but even through his, from dealing with people that come from the kind of environment that he came from, prison, when to ignore someone, but also when to act. Not being emotional, but rather being strategic. When he transferred out, it was weird because everybody was telling like, yo, wrestler, like, hurry up, you gotta get to him. You gotta get to him. I'm like, well, what happened? What happened? He's like, yo, he's actually leaving. I was like, really? And he stuck around long enough just so that he can have a 15-minute conversation with me. Because they were like, yo, get on this damn bus. And he stood there long enough just to make sure he had that conversation with me. And over time, something interesting happened. Little weird interactions I was having with other people, I would hear his voice in the background. But then over time, his voice was replaced with mine. Same kind of stuff, same kind of steadiness, but it was my voice instead. And then eventually it turned into a different source. That's when I started to understand that what faith actually is. When you even have to start borrowing what somebody else told you so that it can bring you confidence within yourself. It's not blind belief that everything is going to work out. What it is to me, at the very least, is holding on long enough to build enough evidence to know that where you are, what you do, and what you're capable of is the real deal. And sometimes, like I said, you got to borrow it from somebody else before you can actually catch up and have belief in yourself. Because the faith that I had before that situation, that version had to die. I was too optimistic. I wasn't tested enough in life. That faith that I built came after. That one I had to earn. It wasn't a things will work out kind of attitude. It was a I will make it work attitude. And that's different for a lot of people. And I think people don't realize how quickly that sense of faith that you even have can be lost. One bad season, one spiral, one day when your environment turns out to not be what you imagine, it can be that quick that everything can go bad. And suddenly you don't trust even yourself anymore. You don't trust your own decisions. You don't trust in your faith and what the future is gonna look like. But here's the thing though. You can regain all the stuff that you actually think that you lost because you still have the experience and the knowledge. So those things don't go away. It's like you building money, right? You can lose all the money, you can gamble it all away, or you can give it all away. But the knowledge that you took to get that stuff, you still retain. And when you get it back, it won't even look the same because the efforts that you took to get it looks different than you first time than when you look to get it, when you first got it. Now you look more together. Now you look stronger. You look more confident. You are less emotional. You are more grounded. We're not talking about a higher power. I'm asking, when everything strips you down, do you still think that you have the confidence within yourself, the belief within yourself to rebuild? And if not, whose voice are you borrowing until you're able to be strong enough to build your own? Do you feel like you're in a 20s MTV video? A 2000s? Jesus Christ. I haven't heard MTV in a while. I was thinking about another situation early in my 20s. This is when I was getting to work in production. And I ran into a lot of people because people on planet, but I ran into so many people who were so territorial about their work and new people coming into work. Everybody wants to safeguard their position. So there was definitely a lot of ageism that happened. Older guys giving younger guys a hard time because they didn't want these people to take their jobs. Especially if you guys ever worked in the union, then you kind of get some of the tactics that I'm talking about. But I remember there was one guy. It was an older man. This was one of my first jobs before I really took off. And they said the squeaky wheel gets the grease, or the squeaky wheel gets the oil, whatever. Like we've heard this concept before. And when I first heard it, I got to the point right away, right? However, when you look at the aspect of what that is, that means speaking up, that means being heard, that means not letting people ignore you. Do not sit there quietly while things are going wrong and then complain later that nobody actually listened. That's what it kind of means. And that I understood. What took me longer to understand was that part that people leave out. So they'll tell you that squeaky wheel gets the oil, because a lot of people think that, or rather they learn that if you make enough noise, it will be able to carry you to the future because that means you're loud enough and people will pay attention to you. They learn how to challenge, they learn how to complain, they learn how to push back. And somewhere along the way, they may even start thinking that attention is the same thing as value, but it's not. Because making noise might get you noticed. It might really get you heard. it might get you what you think that you want in the moment. And that doesn't mean that people it doesn't mean that people want to keep they don't want to keep dealing with you. It doesn't mean that. Like sometimes the people that do make a lot of noise are people that everybody else doesn't want to be around because they feel like they're walking on eggshells. I have seen that. I think that's the part where people get messed up when it comes to this whole concept. I think for some of these people, they think that the problem is never them. It's always the outside thing going on, and they're taking on a role of like being special, being a superhero or something. They're saving everybody else. They're the only ones who can fix it because no one else has been bold enough to do so. They think that they're being honest. They think that they're being outspoken. They believe that they are the right, just person willing to say what needs to be said. And maybe that is true to some extent. Maybe they are also the person making room, making heavier waves every time that they open up their mouth. That matters as well because sometimes people really need to hear the part that really needs to be said. But one moment, this is because it's very important, one moment of disrespect can cost you everything. People never think about that. They're willing so much, so hard to push back on everything, to be as abrupt and ruthless or disrespectful or try to pretend like they know everything, even to the brand new people that's coming in. But it only takes one moment of disrespect to cost you everything. Not because people are soft, not because authority cannot handle being questioned, and it's not because disagreements are some kind of crime. It's not that. It's because one moment can reveal what kind of problem you really are. One slick comment, one public challenge, one time you decided your pride was going to take over the entire room. That one time, everyone and everybody that was around saw structure and you said, I am going to take advantage of it by any means possible. I've not only seen this, but I think I've even been this person at one point or another. And now you're looking at yourself years later down the line, and you're looking at people who are still holding on to the same skill. They're years down the line. You said the people are annoying managers. Sometimes it's your coworkers too. People who are still holding on to the same skill. They're still holding on to the same positions. They're not even looking at you and thinking that you even have the same skill as them. They're not even looking at you and thinking that you have the same value. And now they're thinking, what? What do you think they're gonna think of when it comes to now that you are now walking in? That shift is not gonna take place in their mind. That's when they're gonna start you come in and you're just gonna get all the noise that everybody else did. There's as someone who's worked on many sides of the field, who has led many teams and done many projects or whatever, there are things that I learned. And the very most important thing that I learned in any business that I go into, it's not about the pay. It's not about, I mean, you can say about the pay, but the culture of your company says more to you about how long you will be there than anything else. When you get a strong culture, new people who show up to that actual that into that company will adapt to the culture. When you have a weak company culture, the culture of that company will always defer to the new people. Like it's crazy. But it's true, and I've seen it so many times happen. It's happened way too many times, and we've all have examples of this. We all have example of these people in our lives. We've seen it. Older coworkers, newer coworkers, managers that just came off fresh out of fucking university or whatever. We see them in all kind of people. These are not things that are just about power. These are about human behavior. People who want to be in positions that they have not earned. Now, once people start seeing you as a cost, everything changes fast. And that's why people lose everything in what looks like a moment. I've had to do this, by the way, to people. I've walked into a business and good example, had a guy came in and said things to me that were egregious, came in brand new to a team. I was there for a short time. I was a contract person, but I had to lead this team, change up the department, everything. This man went as so far to say, "You can't tell me ish. I've been doing this. I've been doing this since you were in your daddy's nutsacks." That's what I was told. It was in a meeting, a team meeting. And I was like, wow, okay, I got you. I got you. It was funny, but I couldn't like just laugh out, and it was kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie, but I couldn't say anything at the time. I was just looking at him like, I said, okay, cool, cool. So I brought him into a meeting, a private one-on-one meeting. I had everybody, everybody take care of their own sides. I brought him to one meeting, and I just say, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna write down a whole bunch of questions, and you're going to let me know everything that I am doing wrong, right? Because you've been here for a while, you've been at this company for double digits. Tell me everything that I am doing wrong, right? And he was proud, pacing back and forth, and you're doing this and you're not doing that. And by the way, I'm his manager. Yeah, this is wrong, and that person over here, and this is what you're getting wrong over here, and you shouldn't be changing this up. We tried that already. Mm, okay, okay. What else? Cool. All right. Is there anything else on this list that? And I mean, yeah, now we have a couple pages. Is there anything on this list that I need to worry about? He's like, no, I don't think so right now. I said, okay, cool. Or rather, his words were, and I'm paraphrasing, when I think about it, I'll let you know. That was pretty much what he said. And I was like, got you. So let me tell you what I've been thinking about. Since I heard you out about a good 15 minutes now. We only slotted for 30 minutes. So I just want to let you know, like, for you've been in for a good 15 minutes. I get that you have experience, and I get that you've been here for a while, but I also see how the team moves around you. They're not very comfortable with your ego, your attitude. It showed the weight that everybody else does not want to deal with you. And it's true that you may also know a lot about the company and a lot about your job, but it also tells me that you are also not a person who's adaptable. Now, keep in mind, I need you to also understand and respect something else. You're not the manager. I am. I've heard all your grievances, but I also have listened to other things that happen with other team members, and I cannot have people on my team openly disrespecting me. It sets a bad precedence for the team. It sets a bad precedence for the company. Doesn't look good for the department, and this is not the type of work culture that we expect to have. And then I told him, this will be your last day of work. I absolutely fired him after that meeting. He was by the way, he was 4 hours into his shift. I paid him the entire 8 hours. But I can't have that. I think the man was in the company for like 16 years or something like that. I can't have that. It's just, that can't be tolerated. And the funny part about it, folks, the team did improve. The team did well. The numbers went crazy. Attendance rate. People were more collaborative with each other. Everything changed. And that same company kept me on for a couple of years, actually. Even as a contract person, they kept me on as a couple of years. Only because I did not want to move in full time. Because me moving in full time would be me wasting time on the clock instead of me having a very specific task. And sometimes it means that you have to get rid of some of your strongest players. He was a strong player in the team, but not at the detriment of the entire team. I was surprised at how well everybody flourished once this guy was gone. And I was nice to him even when I fired him. I was nice to him. Hey, no security to take you out. You can easily clean up your stuff. I'm not gonna tell everybody you got fired. I'm just gonna say there was a difference of opinion, and you decided to separate with the company. Here's the funny part about it. He got a job somewhere else doing something else. When I got the call, I said he was a strong worker. He definitely knew his job. He definitely knows his job. He needs to work on communication. But he's a great person. If you get the right person with him, the right team with him, I think he's going to be absolutely a good member of your team. He's just, you need the right manager though, because the right manager just needs to humble him. Everybody needs to be humbled. Everyone. No one is bigger than the station that they're in, because it's always somebody bigger than you. And the sad part is, the funny part about it, I ran into him on the train. He looked at me and he was like, and he couldn't say shit. He looked at me in my face and I looked at him and I nodded my head. Because at the end of the day, he knew that the very job that he was at, he got because of me, because they told him I gave him a glowing recommendation. No, we can say if he worked there or not. We can. It's not like he went to HR or whatever. They literally asked me. He literally gave them the number to my department. It's not illegal. Now, depending on what the actual termination is for, you can't really just say, well, he was gone because he punched a coworker in the mouth. You can't do that. You can't say he was fired because he was jerking off in the staff room. You can't say things like that. You can't be like, oh, he was gone because of SA or something like that. You can't do that. You can't say anything. But to say that, hey, he separated from the company, I can't really say anything more than that. There's nothing wrong with that. But if they're asking me, because I'm his direct manager, what was it like working with him? I'm allowed to absolutely give my opinion on that based on the fact that it's non-biased. I said I think he's a great testament to people who actually are very knowledgeable, that he will be a great asset in other people's company. I just think he needs to work a little bit on his communication skills. And here's the truth of the matter. I think he might actually really be good in your team, because some people just need a change in environment. Some people just get a little too comfortable where they are, coasting. Sometimes they need a fresh change in order to really be able to flourish. There's nothing wrong about that. You can absolutely say that in a job. I can give a criticism and praise at the same time, and he got his job. And as far as I can tell you, he's still working there. As far as I can tell you, I don't know. It's a different company. And again, since I'm not HR and they're asking for me specifically, I can give my critiques. So long as I didn't say anything that would be incriminating in his file, which I did not do. But it would be weird. Imagine this. If I couldn't say anything about him, right, Joseph? Imagine this. They call me. They get my line. I'm here. I'm on the phone with them. And they say, well, tell me about him. And I'm like, I don't know anything about the guy. That would be weird. So we do have limits to what we can say and what we can't say. Even as people working in compliance, as managers, whatever. You have limits. But yes, you can absolutely talk about your time with the people. So long as you don't say anything that could be a liability. There's no liability about stating your own personal reference of being with them. This is your whole point of having references, by the way. If your references can't say how they really enjoyed you, you can't use references at all, even your old employers. You just can't say the reason why they got fired, and I didn't tell them the reason why he got fired. So, nothing wrong. I even mentioned the fact that he had, prior to even working with me, he had great records of his personal evaluations. I think he had like a couple of, um, what was that, exceeding expectations. So yeah, he's got at least like a good 2 solid years here of exceeding expectations. All his others in meets, exceeding expectations. He seems to be a person that comes to work all the time. His attendance record looks really good. I think he'd be a good testament to your company. You should consider it. I think this would be a good change of pace for him. And I wish him the best. In front of me about I haven't seen that. I'm pretty sure it's happened in front of my face, but I didn't have enough knowledge. I'm pretty sure I've had that happen to me, but I didn't have enough knowledge about the people that they were talking about. The memories are coming up. Yeah, you'd be surprised. I've had people that got thrown to me, or teams that got thrown to me that, well, we need you to take care of these people because their manager left right during the evaluation season. So I need you to go through these evaluations. I'm like, I don't know the team. How can I? And I mean, like, some of them are like, well, we only got a month, a month or so left. You're gonna have to do your best and getting to learn your team to see who's responsible and who's deserving of what in their evaluation. I'm just like, are you serious? Like, we're like in the last quarter. You hired me on in the last quarter of your company. Are you serious right now? And I did it. When I'm dealing with people, it really takes me about, I want to say 2.5 months to say I can really gauge your character. Like, really, I don't know everything about you, but I know your work ethic. I know how you feel about your team. I know how you feel about the job, and I know what kind of pride you have in your own self and the work that you deliver. I can learn that about you solid in 2.5 months. Not just trying to get you to come in and work, but what kind of worker are you? Not just take someone who's just curious about people, which I tend to be. And the funny part about that is, like, believe it or not, the people that gave me the most trouble are the ladies, but the people who have worked the hardest for me are the ladies. It's not the guys. The people who gave me more lip are the guys. Ladies work really hard. They're also the one with the spotty attendance. But when they come in, they work. The guys come in and they complain. I'm like, you know what? I would tolerate all your bullshit complaining if you actually produced. At least make me think about the fact that you're coming in here bitching. Because no one asked you to come to work. You could always decide to take your talent somewhere else. Or I'm even more generous. If you like, you don't even have to quit the company. We can negotiate you moving to a different department. if they have something available. But if you already have previous write-ups, there's nothing I can do for you. I will help you navigate into a different department because where you are right now is not working out for you. I will have that conversation with you. How many managers you can say that will do that for you? Just because you're not a fit for my department doesn't mean that you need to now lose your bread. But time's also ticking. I can't have you sitting here fucking up the flow of my department. So you got to make a decision. KM was good. Dennison was good. Like, some people are just quick to cut. And I've had to make some decisions where I had to be quick to cut. I even came one time with HR at a company that I was at. And I was just like, I'm just here to learn about you guys. I will be overseeing with you guys, but most of all, I'm just going to be learning about you guys. I can just tell you right now, your scores are not looking good. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but I got to watch you to figure out what you guys do, and they're watching me, watching you. Please don't make me do anything I don't even think I have to do. First things first, we need to talk about the culture. And I mean, to the point where I've had to talk to people outside of my department. I just look at the whole company's culture, and I've had to say to market managers and even being in a shareholders meeting and being like, honestly, things are looking kind of out of sorts right now because the company's culture is trash. From top down. Not enough information is circulating properly. It's like a elementary school game of telephone. There's not enough transparency, and that's why people are lost at the bottom who have to deal with the most customers. Your managers are making shit up, and the people at the top are not giving clear enough information. And I can tell you this only being in your organization for 3 weeks. The problem is not just with the people. The problem is with the culture. Fix the culture and everything else will start fixing itself. It will show up in your attitude. It will show up in your ego. It will show up in how other people look at their job. Other people will start looking at each other for insight and inspiration instead of just looking at themselves. And I think this really, I'm going to bring it back full circle real quick. Because that older guy told me that the squeaky wheel is the one that gets the grease. And a lot of people can really learn that and incorporate that into their life. But what they don't tell you is that if that wheel continues to be squeaky, that wheel gets replaced. That's the thing that people don't tell you. That's the kind of stuff that I had to learn all on my own. Don't ever think that you cannot be replaced. Which is why I also tell you that everybody is a part of your network. And if you're going to be loyal to the people who work there. Please do not be loyal to 4 freaking walls. Those walls will not shelter you when it's time to get you out the door. But those people within the company will. And you have to also consider what kind of place that you're working at. Because if you're working in a place where the people that you enjoy to be around are constantly rotating and you have to keep always learning new people to try to get close to, you should probably find somewhere that's more stable. Just something to think about. Don't take my word for it. Just something to think about. You would know this if you work in let's just say fast food. If you worked in retail, you would probably know this if you worked in like probably some areas of security. You would learn all these things. Any place that has a real high abundance of turnover, it is hard for you to lock down connections. And for those who have been at the job and they've been on connections very long and they haven't really been moving up because they've been staying in their place, heed their advice, take some of their information, but don't say that, don't learn everything from them, because they come with a lot of bad habits. And if they've been in their position for double digits, not because they love it, and in their track record they've never moved up, that should be a red flag to you. In this day and age climate, it's a little different too. I'm gonna give a little bit of grace to that situation, because there was a time where if you were doing really good, maybe your manager or maybe there was a suggestion box or something, but people who noticed you would be like, yo, we think that you should go take that position. Or your manager comes like, hey, yo, come take a walk with me. And then encourage you to apply because they think that you're, nowadays, you could be the best candidate in there and best for the position. Nobody's coming to say shit to you. They're like, I don't care if you don't apply to the role, even though you could be best for it. Because why? You're still great where you are. You're still great in your position. So if I can keep you doing the great thing that you're already doing, why do I need you going up somewhere else where now I need to fill in someone who was already doing that great thing that you were already doing. And now you got to learn something that you never learned before that you could be great at. But let's be honest, you're not great at it. I only want great people. People will leave you at a low level position. You have to see value within yourself. And only when you built the right amount of connections, and this is why I said the rapport is important. Not because you're friends with them, not because you go drinking with them or whatever, but because when something opens up, they understand your value. Not that you're smart, not that you're a hard worker, not that you fine, not that you smell good, not that you get the best handshakes, not that you dance the best at the holiday parties. They need to see value in you to think that if this mofo comes up, I know they're about to make my life easier. I'm recommending you because I know when you move up there, you're going to do what the other managers previously did not do. And that is make life easier for me. Hey, you don't really know the position? Don't worry. I got you. I got you. To hear that is very important. To know, like, I really don't have the experience. I get that you're recommending me, but I don't really think I got it. They were like, you don't need to know it all now. It's not about what you know. It's about who you know. We will help you learn it. We will give you something that we won't be for everybody else. We will be forgiving because we will tell you everything on our side that you should get right. And the best part about it is that it's your first year in, so you get accident forgiveness. So long as people don't die or something like that. Fuck. Outside of that, you get accident forgiveness. You could say, it's my first year. I didn't know. I didn't know. Make as many mistakes as you can early. Because in that second year, you cross over that 1 year, you're not going to get any of that grace anymore. That I didn't know, nobody told me. They're going to like, well, you should have realized there was somebody that you should have reached out to in order to get that information. It's on you now. That's triggering your PTSD. Listen, I did a lot of corporate America, man. It's in a lot of ways, sitting in those meetings and correspondence and freaking conference calls and ugh. I don't miss any of it, by the way. I understand the need for it, but I don't miss any of it. I don't. I like more of the one-on-one talks. I like the small groups. I don't like to feel, even when like going to university, I never liked the big lecture halls. I don't like all those people. I like small groups. I would rather have multiple groups in bite size. This is why like even when we were like all furloughed and like that, I liked doing classes or training where I had say like 15, 20 people or on like Zoom calls or something like that. I need a small number of people that I can pay attention to. People who can really ask me questions. The more people there are, the harder it is to really address everybody. Hey, I got 15 minutes extra. Hopefully you wrote all your questions down. Let's start feeding it in. Hey, I got so and so is on the chat side. They're gonna start feeding out the questions. I'm gonna start answering them. The largest team, my largest team was it was supposed to be 19, but it was 17 people. My largest team has been 17 people. Mixed different departments too. But it was like 17 people that I had on my team that I was responsible for. That's the largest I've had right now. It could have been worse. I could have had more. And keep in mind, I had to look after a 17-person team. In addition to that, I had to work with other project teams. So I would come in to work with other project. I was working with 2 project teams, and I had my team, which were 17. I had a lot of work. And the worst part about it was only in 2019 because I was working 2 full-time jobs. So check this out, Denizen. I had 17. At that time, I was working with 1 project team. I had my team of 17. No, actually, we didn't even have the full 17 at the time because we lost people. I think it might have been 13. We was really struggling. We were struggling in that year. So we couldn't even fill in all the other people. And then I had a whole other full-time job where I had a team under me of 5. So 80 hours a week, 2 different teams, back and forth. It was a lot that year. I made so much money that year, but it was a lot. I was stressed the hell out. But the best part about one of the jobs that I was at is that I could make my own schedule. My managers didn't like it, but I could make my own schedule. The other one I had to like just kind of go along to get along. So here's the funny part about that, KM. I've met so many managers and so many play styles when it comes to leadership. When it comes to, I mean, I've seen, and I've even been a couple of these managers. I've been seen the manager who is the friend of everybody. They're the cool one. Everybody likes them. However, everybody feels like they can get over them because they're too much friends. This is why, like the whole process of they're your parents, they're not your, they're not your friend is very important. Like, it's very important. There needs to be a separate. Hey, Resla, we're all gonna go out to the party and stuff. You want to show up? And you're like, I want to. I vibe with y'all, but I can't. There needs to be a line for church and state. I want to. I really do. Then fuck all that. Just I can't. I can't. So what you gonna do then? I'm gonna be sitting at home, probably thinking about work on my phone. And you know what some of them would do? They would all go to hang out. Maybe they go to a friend's. They all go to one house or whatever. And they do. And you know what they do? They hit me up on the phone, do a little voice chat. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Yo, why you? Something wrong? Oh no, y'all all at the party. Oh, what's going on? Oh yeah. And they show me what's going on. Yeah, yeah. See, this is what you missing. You should have. I was like, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Well, you know what? Don't have too much fun because you got to show up for work tomorrow. Please don't even think about calling me. Talking about you ain't gonna come into work because you got too lit. I see that you're there, so just show up to work. But outside of that, you guys have fun, and I'll see y'all bright and early in the morning. And I would just I'm gonna do for every shot you're not here, I'm gonna do an extra shot for you. Well, as long you got the AM shift or you got the PM shift or you got the PM. Yeah, knock yourself out. PM shift, you're good. AM shift, you better not. I've been early in my years when I was in my 20s. My early 20s, I was a tyrant. So I've been the good boss. I've been the friendly boss. I have been the tyrant boss. And then eventually I fell into the strategist to the point where I was so good at monitoring people, I would predict what they would do next. It wouldn't be immediate, but I could probably predict what you would do in about a week or two. If I leave certain things in your path that you have to do, I would know exactly how you're going to do it at the end of the day. Like I can tell you what I was so good at my team at one point. I used to know where all their hiding spots were. Not because I followed them or anything, not because even other people ratted them out. Because I'm like, whenever I go look for you, you always tell me you're in this area. If I wanted to hide, where would I be? And I would just do my little walk, my own little investigation walks. And then I would find this doesn't seem like a real secluded area. And then eventually I would be able to find them. I had a coworker, she was hiding in the electrical room, she was eating Doritos. I was like, seriously? I don't care about you eating Doritos, but why are you in the electrical room? Like, it's quiet in here. Get your ass out of here. Do I think I got more respect being like what? Being the friendly boss? No. No, not being the friendly boss. Here's the truth of the matter. You get likability. Likability is not respect. We shouldn't confuse those two things. Being liked doesn't mean that you're respected. Because you can also be treated like a doorknob. Worse, because you're so friendly with people, they will use that against you. Well, you was there too. You was. Oh, you let me get away with that last time. Oh, remember that time I bought you a bottle of Henny? No, you can't. You can't. You can't do it. Can't do it. In order for me personally to keep my respect, there has to be a separation. There are some teams in some places that I've been to where I immediately clicked with the team. I was really good with them. And then other places where I just saw so many bad habits, I said, if I fall in line with their bad habits, because we're talking about culture, I fall in line with the bad habits, I am going to be SOL. So I need to keep my distance. I need to put up a shield right now. What do you like to do? I do what I do. So how you spend your free time? Honestly, you don't need to know about my free time. I'm not trying to be a dick. I need to keep my distance. It's nothing personal to you. It's just, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. This is where you start hearing me sound like a dick. I'm here for the paycheck. And typically, yes, we're all going to work for the paycheck, but that's typically that's not my default. That typically is not my default walking into a place to even say that. You don't really hear me say, I'm just here for the check. You don't normally hear to say, that's not my job. These are the things that you don't typically hear me say. I try to keep a balanced approach to work. But also, here's another thing that people don't really agree with me on because of indoctrination. We can get into it if you want to. I got a very, very old, either video or live stream that's sitting on my channel. And that is about work-life balance. Work-life balance to me has always been a scam. Absolute scam. Because I always said the same thing. If you go to work, you clock out, you don't get those hours back. You don't magically clock back out and you get funneled some time back on you don't. So that means you have to find the combination between your life and your work. Because what do they say? If you don't have your work, you can't support your life. And you cannot support your life if you don't work. So you have to take them the same. Your work is a part of your life. You shuffling around the children and trying to find time between making sure that they get all their shit together to take them over to school so that you can turn around and make sure you get your commute so that you can clock in properly at job and then leave so that you can pick little Timmy and Jessica up so you can take them to freaking practice and then make sure you get them some freaking food. That's not fast food, by the way. You got to now cook some food for them to make sure you get their asses in bed and do it all over again. This is your life. Now, because I watch so many, I've been in so many evaluations for companies and worked for many companies myself. I am a person who I am a staunch believer in 4-day work weeks. I believe in 4-day work weeks. When I look at how other countries have their work policies up, I mean, Switzerland has it the best, man. I don't know if the Swedes still have it the same way, but Switzerland, I think Germany has one of the best when it comes to it. Man, the treatment that they get is way better. If I did 12-hour shifts, so here's the thing. If I did 12-hour shifts, that would be 3 days, KM, and you wouldn't get 40 hours. I think you would get 36, which technically under US would still be considered full-time. So unless you agree for those extra hours, if you're okay with 36, 3 days may not be so bad for you. But 4 days, 10 hours, 10 hours is nothing to me. You're already there for 8. What's an extra 2? If it means that you having a whole extra day to yourself, why the hell not? It's just 2 hours. Let's be honest. The average person working an 8-hour shift, it shows in studies that of your 8 hours, you're really only productive, like really focused and productive for 3 hours. 3. You're there for 8. You're only highly productive for 3. Everything else is just either filling in time or doing very minuscule tasks. But yet, you signed a contract saying that you had to be there. These are studies. But we don't do anything to change our system. Instead, what we try to do is to get people to work more. We have by the way, we have an employment crisis, right? Like we have a housing crisis, we have a working crisis, right? I say this. If everybody was working, not everybody, some people are going to be the exceptions to the rule. Some people are just going to want more because they're greedy or whatever the case may be. If we change it to the fact where people are now working 4 days a week, right? Because for some reason, I see this with a lot of companies. If you haven't noticed this, maybe you're still working at your job and you don't really pay attention to it because you have your job, so you're not really looking at how the employment field is like right now. As a person who always has to eat what they killed and I'm always looking for the next thing. If you notice, the job postings for part-time jobs are pretty much gone. You think that looking for full-time work is hard? You can't even really find part-time work anymore. You can't even find part-time work for McDonald's. Part-time labor is dying. If you're not there full-time on the clock, they're not really looking at you. It's crazy. There are some places still doing it, but the places that I used to see so much part-time work on, you could be a part-time accountant. You could be part-time security guard. You could be part-time dental hygienist. You could be now you're either full-time or you're full of yourself. It's kind of crazy. So think about it this way. If you worked 4 days a week, if you don't care about the extra couple of few hours like KM, and you want to go do your 12 hours, 3 days, that's cool. Because what it also does is that it opens up the doors, the opportunity for other positions to be filled by more labor. Instead of you not being for 5 days and wasting your time and effort, you're spending 3 days, you're still getting all your work done. But we needed you. But Cam, we needed you. We say it's too much. 12 hours is nothing. Sir, I used to do 16-hour days. And by the way, I used to do 10 hour. There was a time where I did 10-hour days on the clock. And I was just there extra just to make sure my team didn't fuck up. There was teams that I had that I didn't have trust in my team. I was there working for free. For free, sir. I was that paranoid. There was a place that I worked at that had me so paranoid that I worked 8 hours and I was there extra for free. And my only agreement was like, just keep your mouth shut. Because you know what? I'm gonna have to stay here an extra 4 hours or something, or 5 hours. Because you know why? You're gonna call me. Why would I bother wasting my time and you calling me and you're speaking gibberish when I could just sit here and wait for the shit to go down and fix it my goddamn self? And they're like, go home. If I go home, do not call me. And you know what happens? I go home. I hear that alarms are going off. I hear that somebody took a dive off of a pier trying to excommunicado themselves. I hear about all, and I'm going, why didn't you call me? Or worse, I get people who never call me. People who never call me. I got HR calling me. What? Why HR calling me? I tried calling you, but none of your coworkers wanted to give me your number. So I have to call you. Telling you that we need you to come in. I was just there 4 hours ago. We need you in here. So I would be so paranoid that I would just stay there. My manager would be like, the days that me and my manager actually did work together, he'd be like, why are you still here? I'm like, honestly, I'm kind of paranoid. He's like, go home. I'm like, don't you leave like an hour later? He's like, go home. Hey, all right. I was burning out because when I was at home, I was thinking about work. I spent more time at work for years more than I was enjoying life. So when I finally burnt out, which took me a long time, by the way, when I finally burnt out and I was like, enough, man, it changed my life. It changed my life. Your youngest used to work 12 hours, 4-hour days. Yeah, when I used to work with a security company, KM, where I worked 12-hour days. I had a 7 to 7. It was great. It was a great job. Oh, no, let me take that back. It wasn't a great job. It was a peaceful job. I didn't have no problems on that job. Except for when the alarms went off, it was a pain in the ass. But if you did your job, you had to worry about the alarms going off. But they had a lot of restrictions. They had a lot of stuff going on there. Yeah, 12. You said 12 hours a week. That's crazy. 12 hours a week don't even 12 hours a week won't even get you part-time. 12 hours a week is not even like, you can't do shit. You can't do shit with those hours. I think people should be working. Like I said, I think it's Germany and Sweden that they pay you for your commute to work and leaving. So if you got an 8-hour day, check this out. If you got an 8-hour day, you're working 6 hours. You're paid an hour commuting in and an hour leaving. I don't know if they still stayed. I don't know if it's still like that, but it was like that. I don't know if it's still like that though. But that's what I was told. I'm at how many hours? Let me do a quick look. Hours. Do Swedes work? They work 40 hours, 8-hour days. Oh no, they're really on the time clock though. They don't give you like an hour lunch or whatever. You're at half an hour and you're 15s. Okay, so that's 7.5. Let's see. Typical schedules. I'm not worried about that. 25 days of vacation. I don't even know the last time I took 25 days in a freaking whole year of vacation. Any vacation days. 4-day work weeks. Some organizations in Sweden have experimented with 4-day work weeks. Could we please? Hey, 6-hour days. While 8 hours legally are the standard, some companies some companies have implemented 6-hour work week days to boost productivity, which means they're paying for 2 freaking hours. You're commuting, and when you get to go home, doesn't that sound beautiful? Doesn't that sound wonderful? Keep in mind, you might be late to work, but you're still being covered for that hour. Not past that hour, but you're being covered for that hour. That sounds glorious. And the sad part about it is that I was that type of coworker that I would not be like an hour late. I would always be like a half an hour early. I would be a half an hour early to work. Sometimes I would be an hour early to work. Part of me was getting ready for work while at work. I had a problem. I was a workhorse. I was a workhorse until I was like, well, I'm 44 now, so I was a workhorse all the way up until I was 41. At 41, I stopped being a workhorse. At 41, I finally understood the value of water. That's the truth. It took me all the way to 41 to where I finally understood the value of water. Now I only go when I'm thirsty. I only decide I'm gonna go crazy only when I know there's water nearby and I am thirsty. I will not just have anyone else run me ragged. Doesn't work that way anymore. The power of saying no. The power of saying, well, I'm off the clock. Oh, you can only call me if the place burns down. No time sooner. Unless the place is on fire, just so I know if I have a job to go back to, please don't bother me. YouTube blocking your whole word. What was your word? The W word. Whore? My whore word. I was a workhorse. I wasn't a whore. I know some people probably wanted me to be a work whore, but I wasn't that. Let's see. What's going on here? I'm not deluded by corporation brain. Listen, corporations will brainwash you. I mean, and here's the sad part. You know what? It's not even that. Let me take that back, Denizen. It's not the fact that corporations will always brainwash. It's your circumstances that will put you in a position to become indoctrinated. Here's the thing about it. You can be easily influenced based on situation, of course, but you're also influenced by the things that you are consistently exposed to. Not everybody does things like buy into culture because culture needs to be proven to already be an effective measure. And because so many people have been through so many bad cultural fits that they're very skeptical of every place they walk into. Because let's just be honest, when you sing in interviews, or if you interview people, or if you interview for companies or whatever, sometimes you'll realize this, that you're talking to people like, so one of the things I try not to do, I know there's probably gonna be a future employee that's gonna hear what I say and they're gonna be like, yo, we got a problem with that. I tell when I'm interviewing people, I tell them about the opportunities that are available in a company, right? There are people who would absolutely move up. There are definitely positions that move up. You can definitely get buddy partners or get training to get into those positions, things like that. I don't lie about those. What I don't try to do to people who I interview or upsell the company. Oh, this is a great company. Oh my God, the benefits and the opportunities. Everybody's getting a promotion. You get a promotion. You get a promotion. Everybody get promoted. We have so much mobility. I don't do that. Especially if I know what the company culture is like that. I don't do that. I don't like to sell people on promises. The same way how if I'm a person that's being interviewed, I don't like people blowing smoke up my ass. And then you probably leave your other job, by the way. That probably wasn't that bad, but they probably weren't really gonna promote you. Probably. Or you did it for the money. And then you go now you move to this company that has a lot more money for it. Well, not a lot more money, but just have more money for you than you already making. But really you stepped into a burning house. Everything you were told is like you were thrown into the multiverse. Up is down, down is up, like left is right, right is left, like the wind is blowing from the west, like there's so much stuff going on because you were sold. You were sold on things that you didn't know the truth. And it's the same way I've experienced this coming into companies where they try to say, oh, your team. Yeah, the team is just, they're going through a little bit of, yeah, but if we feel like you come in, everything's going to be great. And you walk in and it's like, sometimes you walk into a place and it's like Dangerous Minds. Other times you're walking into a place and it's like Kindergarten Cop. Like sometimes they just sitting there just chilling like, look at him. What you think you're about to do? Huh? And then other times you walk in, it's like they're bouncing all over the damn walls. And you're like, what? What the hell? So I've seen different experiences. I'm happy to say that I eventually would always find the right people, whether either within the team or even outside, to get some guidance as to what's going on and try to leave these places in better than I found it. That's typically the idea. If I gotta go, I'm gonna leave it better than I found it. Whatever happens after me is not my problem. It's like my relationships. Hey, I left you better than I found you. The next guy, that's your problem, not mine. But Resla, this is what we are no longer an item. I don't want to hear it. I be like that with a coworker. Oh, we miss you. That's nice. Could you help me with no? No. Mm-mm. Do you remember the extension to? Listen, I'm not trying to be an asshole. I want to help you, or rather, I wish I could help you, but I don't want to. That's really what it comes down to. I don't want to. I wish I could help you. I just really don't. I don't want to. I think the last time I did someone a favor to get in contact with people, like, because I've had this happen like on LinkedIn. I've had a coworker reach out. Not a coworker. I've had a person reach out to me on LinkedIn, someone I didn't know, and they were like, "Hey, I'm trying to apply to this place, and I see that you work there. Could you tell me who's the head of HR or the head manager of this place, of this department? I want to be able to email them directly." And I was just like, here's their email. Here's the number. Here's their extension. Now, if I give you this, you have to do me one favor. And they're like, anything. I want to just work there. It's a great opportunity. Yeah. Sure. When you email them, when you reach out to them, leave my name out of it. Yeah, don't ever call me again. Leave my name out of it. Don't ever say you reached out to me. Say you did your due diligence. Say you went into the office, say you talked to security, say somebody name dropped their shit. Just don't say it was me. And they're like, thank you. If I get the job, I'll let you know. They never got back to me, so I don't. I guess they didn't get the job. Maybe they didn't, or maybe they were just like, I'm not gonna get back to him. You know. In the same way, I've had people for like LinkedIn. They're like reaching out to me at places that I was working, and they're like, hey, I see that you're the manager. Do you have any positions open for me over there? And I'm like, I'm gonna leave this chick on red. Who are you? What? Huh? I'm not doing that. Go to the recruiter. I mean, the recruiters are not gonna do the greatest job, but you said you're getting anxiety listening to this shit. Hey, to me, they're interesting times. I just think that a lot of people could be able to fix a lot of issues where they work if people just focus on not solely profit, because profit, let's be honest, the profit's the whole reason, but culture. Culture will solve a lot of your issues. I am a firm believer in that. If you fix your company's culture, everything else will fall into place. And too many people are looking at the bottom line, and they're looking at the bottom line of everything inside the barrel, but they're not looking at the bottom of the barrel, the very foundation that will keep everything in that barrel. Personal opinion. Not everybody agrees. Not everybody understands, and also not everyone cares. It is what it is. But the funny part about it is that when I'm interviewing at jobs and I get interviews, they're always, not always, but I think they're sometimes surprised when I ask them very deep questions about culture. We got great culture here. No. You tell me what your company's culture is like. What are your events like? What are your rallies like? How do you personally feel about how the culture views its various departments? And honestly, I don't really try to ask this to recruiters because most recruiters who I run into don't really know the job. They just got running off of bullet points that they got from the manager, and I don't fault them for it. They unless they're hiring for the actual for the role or whatever for someone in their department, they really don't know. So I give them grace. I try not to ask recruiters about the intricacies of a role that they haven't really experienced. I like to give recruiters grace on that. I think a lot of people will be screwing up in that aspect. Yeah, could you tell me about what they do and they're like, I don't really know, so but you can ask them. Like, yeah, you just wasted a question. I treat recruiters like monkey's paws. You only get but so many questions. Make them good. Make them good questions. Make sure that they're questions that they can answer. That's just the way how I look at it. You can agree, you can disagree. It's absolutely fine. I'm just telling you how I do it. Uh damn, it is 11 something. I need to start taking off because as I said earlier in the stream, I don't know if I am going to be heading to a funeral or I'm going to have a little bit more of an open day. So I got to figure that out. Either way, if I do have to go to a funeral, then I am going to need some rest. So I think I'm going to end the stream here with you guys. It is today's Tuesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday. Still feels like Monday. And outside of that, I think we might do a stream tomorrow, but I'm going to have to think about not. I don't want to say anything about it, but I guess I'll. Yes, thank you for them. I guess. Um, Outside of that, I might do something tomorrow. I might think about what we're really gonna tackle. I didn't really have time today, but I did have these things in my mind that was coming up in memory. So just kind of ran it from there. Outside of that, take care of yourselves. Have a good night, and I will see you. You said just take it, damn it, wrestler. Yeah, don't. Hey, don't you dare tell me what to take and what not to take. How dare you? That's disrespectful. Uh, I'll see you guys in the next one, y'all. Later.